Dear children, have you seen this place? Or at least have you heard of this place name? I'm sure all of you are familiar with this place name, ATHANI. Do you know how did this place get its name? What does the word ATHANI mean? It's nothing but a stone bench. The word ATHANI simply means a stone bench. In the olden days, not many vehicles were there, and so people used to travel on their foot. Sometimes they had to walk for hours to reach their destination. Think of people carrying loads on their shoulders or heads walking kilometers. Didn't they get tired? Definitely, they needed a break in between their journey. They used to take rest under some trees, and there were many places on the way where a stone bench is built near a tree. On these stone benches, they easily put their loads and took rest in the shade. This stone bench is known as ATHANI. In our state, there are many places named after this ATHANI. ATHANI, Puthinathani, Dandathani, there are a lot of examples. In Thrissur also, we have an ATHANI. Now look at this picture. It's a photo of a statue. Do you know where the statue is situated? It is in our nearby town. To be precise, it is at ATHANI near Angamali. The statue is built as a monument to the historic importance of this place. Did you observe the statue? What do you see in it? There is a stone bench or kallathani on which a man put his burden. Now I hope all of you understood the meaning and purpose of ATHANI or kallathani. Do you know what is the term for kallathani in Kannada? Yes, in this lesson we are going to learn a Kannada word that is Horegallu. Dear children, what's a Horegallu? It is the Kannada term for ATHANI or kallathani. Or it simply means a stone bench that can bear weight. As a definition, I tell you, Horegallu is a large flat stone placed horizontally over two vertical ones, thus making a stone bench on which anyone could sit and unburden their load for a while. As I told you, a few decades before, Horegallus or stone benches were common in our country as there were not many vehicles in our country, especially in the villages. Our new lesson is titled as Horegallu. Horegallu, written by Sudha Murty, is an anecdote taken from the book The Old Man and His God, Discovering Spirit of India. By the way, what is an anecdote? An anecdote is a record of an incident or incidents from one's own life. Here in this anecdote, Sudha Murty remembers two people or two persons who influenced her in her life. She finds out there is a common factor, a bond connecting these two characters. Who are these characters who influenced Sudha Murty? One is Sudha Murty's grandfather and the other one is one of her colleagues, Ratna. Let's see how Sudha Murty makes a bond between these entirely different characters. The author takes us to her childhood days. We all love our childhood days. Remembering the good old childhood often fills our mind with freshness and they revitalize us to go forward. Like us, Sudha Murty also recollects her childhood memories. She says, hot summer days remind her of her childhood at a little village in Karnataka. Dear children, let's listen as it is narrated by Sudha Murty herself. There was a large banyan tree right in the middle of the village, and I would spend many hours playing under it during my holidays. The tree was like a massive umbrella with its branches providing much needed shade and succor. Travelers spent some time sitting under it and catching their breath before going on their way. To make them comfortable, there was a Horegallu under the tree on which anyone could sit and rest a while, chat with a fellow traveler, and exchange news of the road. Cool water would be kept in earthen pot near the stone bench, and people could quench their thirst before starting their journeys again. The Horegallu in our village holds special memories for me, as it is inextricably linked with my grandfather. He was a retired school teacher and would spend hours every day sitting under the banyan tree and talking to those resting there. When I would get tired of playing, I would sit next to him and observe the people he was speaking to and listen to their conversations. Most of them were villagers taking a break from their work in the nearby fields. Their houses were far from the fields. They had to walk long distances each day carrying heavy burdens on their heads. During the breaks of work, tired out by the heat, they would drink the cool water, wash their faces with it, and chat with grandfather. Their conversation would be about their daily lives and worries.
Masterji, the summer has been so hot. I have never seen such dry weather. Masterji, it is getting difficult for me to carry these large loads on my head. Thank God for this Horegallu. I wish my son would help, but he only wants to go to the city.
They spoke about the difficulties they lived with. My grandfather could only listen to them, but just talking to him seemed to refresh them for the journey. After some time, they would pick up their burdens with some ease and go on their way. The Horegallu was an important feature in their lives, and as a child, I would often not understand why they blessed it so often for being there. After all, it was only a stone bench. It was my grandfather who told me,
Child, a Horegallu is essential in any journey. We all carry our burdens according to situations and capacities. But every once in a while, we need to stop, put down that burden and rest. Only then can we be refreshed enough to pick up the load once more. The Horegallu gives everyone that opportunity to do so. It helps people regain their strength.
Grandfather taught me the importance of a Horegallu in our lives. We need something or somebody to share our burden. That would help us to relax for a while and go ahead in our lives with our burden of worries and hardships. Later on in life, I got to see something that reminded me of that stone bench once again. I was working in Bombay. One of my colleagues, Ratna, was a senior clerk, middle-aged and always smiling. She had done her graduation and been working in the company for nearly 25 years. She went about her repetitive mundane work with an infectious cheerfulness. Every day during the lunch hour, she would sit with some person in one of the rooms and they would have long chats. I would often wonder what they talked about. One day I finally asked her, Ratna, what do you talk with each person for the whole lunch hour? Ratna smiled and said simply,
They share their troubles with me.
But how can you solve the troubles of many people? Do you always have an answer for them?
No, I only listen.
And that is enough? That solves the problem? I was young and incredulous at such a simplistic outlook. But Ratna answered with the same patience and affection that she must have used with all my colleagues.
I am not a trained counselor or an intellectual. No one can solve your problem. You have to do it yourself.
Then how do you help them by listening to them?
God has given me 2 years to listen to others. I hear them out with sympathy and without any judgment. When a person in trouble or under a lot of strain finds an outlet for his worries, it relieves half his burden.
But don't you ever break the confidence and tell others the secrets you hear, even by mistake?
Not even in my dreams. I consider that to be the worst kind of betrayal. I don't think there is a greater sin than betraying someone's confidence. They tell me their worries because they know I will never talk about it or gossip about it to another person. Only when they know their words are secure with me can they talk to me freely. This way, I relieve their burden for a short while till they are ready to pick themselves up and carry on with their journey.
Her words uncannily echoed my grandfather sitting on the stone bench under the banyan tree. Perhaps in their own small ways, without access to great wealth, both these people were doing tremendous social service. No one thought of acknowledging their work or rewarding them for it, but they continued to do so as these acts of kindness gave them joy. If ever now I happen to pass a horagalu in a village, I remember them and wish there were many more of them in this world. Here ends the passage. Sudha Murty realizes her grandpa and Ratna are acting as horagalus. Both of them lend their ears to others' problems and thus give relief to them. In this busy world, people get dejected just because of loneliness. If they shared their feelings to somebody, they could move on in their lives. That is why Sudha Murty says we need more human horagalus in this world. Human horagallus are people who listen to others' problems with sympathy and without judgment. We need such people in our world. A short note on Sudha Murty. Sudha Murty was born in 1950 at Shikhavon in North Karnataka. She is a fine example for an empowered woman. She began her professional career in computer science and engineering. Later, she became the co-founder of the Infosys Foundation with her husband N.R. Narayanamurthy. But Miss Murty is more popular as a writer in English and Kannada. She has written novels, technical books, travelogues, collections of short stories and non-fiction pieces. This bold woman with self-respect has proved her mettle in all the fields she stepped in. But Sudha Murty is best known for her social work and philanthropy. She has founded several orphanages and participated in rural development efforts. She initiated a bold move to introduce computer and library facilities in all schools in Karnataka. Sudha Murty also finds time to motivate others by her speeches and anecdotes. Her books have been translated into all the major Indian languages and English. She was the recipient of the R.K. Narayan Award for Literature and the ATHANI Award from the Government of Karnataka for Excellence in Kannada Literature in 2011. The nation honored her by conferring Padma Shri Award on her in 2006. Thank you.